Alright, in this video, I want to talk about whether or not someone with NPD, which is narcissistic personality disorder, can actually be saved. Now, I used to just see the narcissist as the tares from the wheat and the tares parable that Jesus gave. Because the wheat and the tares look the same and they grow together, but then there's going to be a separation and the tares are going to be taken out to be burned. And it is Satan who actually seeded these tares into the field. Jesus didn't. Excuse me. And I always saw them as just they're lost. They've just made a choice to be against God. But I don't know. And I'm gonna talk about that. Now, it's confusing to me because the tares, they grow up with the wheat and they will leech off the wheat's roots. And when you don't really tell the difference until they grow to maturity, where the wheat will start to bow. It has some humility to it, but the tare just keeps growing straight up because it doesn't have that kind of humility to it, right? And on top of that, tares are toxic. It gets you all sick, and I don't even know if they can become poisonous and deadly. I imagine they would if there's too much of it. So you think you could use it for flour and bread and whatnot for eating, but you can't. And narcissists are toxic people. Very toxic. And I think that's a big thing going around now where people are just toxic. And that's, I don't know if it's a slang thing people are using, but I've been hearing it a lot more. Toxic. That person's toxic, toxic people. Remove toxic people from your life. You know, you got to detox from these toxic people, not just what's in your body. Hearing things like that. I was like, yeah, these narcissists, they're the toxic people. They're the tares growing with the wheat. And they can be family and friends and coworkers and fellow students and just fellow people in life and connecting to you in all kinds of different ways. But with a narcissist, I'm just going to talk about them real briefly to give you a description in case you're not familiar. I made videos about them, and this guy up here, he's made a bunch of videos about him. You can check him out. That's one of the guys I was listening to when I was learning about him and figuring him out. Because I was coming across these people in my life, I never really knew what their issue was. But then when I learned what NPD was, I was like, oh, that's what's wrong with these people. They have narcissism, and this is just how they are. And that's why I was like, they're the tares. So it's like they can't be saved unless God works some kind of miracle. So it's these kind of people you just got to stay away from. Because, like he says right here, can a narcissist be cured? What he talks about is that they can't. And every psychiatrist and what have you that you can read about, listen to, and whatnot, tell you that there is no cure. No narcissist has ever been cured of narcissism. So if it is to happen, it would be something God does. It would be a miracle. So anyway, I was praying this morning, and there was something a little bit different about how I was praying. Because now and then narcissists will come to mind, and I'll pray about God doing something with them, because I was like, I know I can't reach them. I know that they will just wear me out, waste my time, manipulate me, gaslight me, and all this stuff. They're basically like trolls, internet trolls, but they'll also do it in real life and face to face. So I was like, I generally, when I recognize them, I don't interact with them that much unless I have to. So I was talking to God about that, about, hey, if there's some help that can be given to these people, you got to do it, because I don't know how, and I have no success, and it's never good. It's like arguing with a troll in the comment section or in the forum or something. Really no point, right? You might do it for a little bit to try to reason with them, and then after a little bit, it's like, okay, there's no way I can reason with this person, so I'm going to back off. That's how it is with a narcissist. Because these people, they lack empathy. They can pretend to care about other people, but it's just a facade to get people to think they actually care about other people and to manipulate. Let's say they're nice to you and act like they care about you. It's to get you to think that they do so that they can manipulate you or use you and get their narcissistic supply from you. Or maybe they're nice to you so that someone else is seeing it so that they can manipulate that other person to think that they care about other people, right? Because they're manipulative people. That's one of the big characteristics about narcissists is that they're fake. They're not genuine, very manipulative, hardcore liars. And they lack empathy. So it's like, let's say um, you're really sick, you're really ill, and a narcissist is talking to you, and you're just like, I'm ill, I'm not feeling up for conversation, and they still want to just talk about themselves, like, yeah, I hear you, you're sick and everything, but I'm not doing all too great myself. I stubbed my toe. I got this hangnail going on, and it's driving me crazy. That's a just an example of narcissistic characteristic, where that's hardcore narcissism, where they just completely don't care that you just broke your leg, you're sick, um, you lost a family member, there's some other issue going on, and they're just like, yeah, I feel sorry for you, bro, but I dropped my sandwich on the floor today, and it's just bumming me out so much, and they want to talk about that instead of what's going on with you. That's hardcore narcissism. Uh, the people who realize that they're being narcissist and that's what they do, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I feel sorry for you," and they'll try to get out of the conversation because they really don't want to talk about you. They really don't care, but they're pretending to care long enough to get away and to leave the impression that they do care. So there's different ways they go about it, but that's one of the main things that they don't have true empathy. They want empathy for them and they want people to have sympathy for them, but they got none for anybody else. That's why it's like, okay, these people are tares. It's like they've completely made a decision deep within their soul and their heart that they don't care about God, they don't care about truth, they don't care about what is right. Morality, no. Anything good, no. It's about themselves and only about themselves. And some of them are smarter than others. So some of them, they're really easy to see. They're blatant about how they are. They're just oblivious to how they act. And some of them are a lot smarter, like this guy has interviews with. I can't remember his name, like Beckman or something. And he's been diagnosed by 5 different psychiatrists with NPD. So he knows he has NPD and he's open about it. But pretty much all narcissists know they have this disorder because they can see other people are different. Other people actually care, and people actually condemn their behavior, what they're thinking in their mind. So they don't actually let it out in front of people because they know they can't just be themselves because people don't like that behavior and they shake their finger at it and they rebuke it. So they have to pretend to be something they're not, just like the tare pretending to be the wheat. But this guy is interviewed, he is a very smart man, very educated. I think he knows a bunch of different languages. So he's not as easy to point out as a narcissist, unless you want to say he's an intellectual narcissist. But you could just say that he's very egotistical, right? He's a little bit better at hiding it. And yeah, you know what? I think I'm going to go through and see if there might actually be a picture of the guy on this. I'm not seeing one, so I'll go one more. And nope. But anyway, uh, can they be saved? If they can, it's an act of God. It's a miracle. Because I was thinking about this guy that he interviewed. I think his name is Beckman. His last name, something like that. And uh, he knows he's a narcissist, and he comes out and he's teaching people about narcissism. And I don't know if that's how he gets his attention and his narcissistic supply, so that's why he's doing it. But he's giving everybody the awareness about narcissism as a narcissist. So I was thinking, and I was praying because, like I was saying, I was like, God, you got to do something about this. You know, if they can be helped. And then I was just asking, can they even be saved? Is there even a point in praying for these people? And then I was thinking about that guy. And I was like, is it possible that he can accept Jesus, but he still has to fight with his flesh? And his flesh is a hardcore narcissist where he just lacks empathy for people. And he's going to have to battle with that for the rest of his life. Just like if somebody was a murderer and they came to Jesus, that guilt and that shame is going to follow them. Or if a homosexual comes to Jesus and they accept Jesus, they still have to battle with their homosexual desires. But a lot of people, they see it as kind of taboo and out there. They don't relate, so they think it's just demonic and satanic and almost like you can't be saved, and that, you know, get away from them because their battle with the flesh is different from mine. And it's like, no, they're having a different battle, but that's it. Like there's some people, they battle with smoking, they battle with drinking. There's people who they were a player or a hoe before they were saved, and they battle with that, you know, their sexual desires and promiscuity. And people relate with those, and they see those seem to be more common and more acceptable. But everybody has a different battle that they're dealing with the flesh. It can be like ego and attention seeking. You're a gossiper. You know, everybody has these flaws and these sins that we just have made habitual. And then when we come to Jesus, we're convicted of it, but we still battle with it. So I was thinking it's possible that God can reach narcissists. They can accept Jesus, but they're still going to have to battle their narcissistic flesh. Their spirit will be circumcised from their flesh so that they are saved, but they're going to be walking around in a narcissistic body until, you know, Jesus does the work that he does on it. And they're going to have to walk with Jesus to do that. The thing is that narcissists don't seek help because they don't think anything's wrong with them, because they see themselves as perfect even though they're obviously not. They make a delusional world, and they bring in people around them that will not call out the delusions and who will feed the delusion that they're something special. You've probably seen this in like school and sometimes at work, where there's somebody who's like the center of attention of a certain group, and they seem to be the leader, and everybody just kind of gives up their will to that person. That would be a narcissist. They keep people around them who will be subservient to them, because narcissists don't like being equal to people, and they definitely don't like being below people. That's why they can't accept Jesus, because they're not equal to Jesus, and they can't humble themselves to be bowing to him. So that's why it's like with all these narcissistic uh, characteristics, it's like, can they even do this? Is there something in them that can accept Jesus? And if there is, I don't see it. My flesh says they can't be saved. But here's the thing. I've actually met people who profess saving faith, in that we're saved by grace through faith, that not of ourselves, is the gift of God, not of works, that Jesus died for them, and that they truly believe they're saved, and that, you know, they're going to be raptured, or if they don't believe in the rapture, that they're going to be raised from the dead, that they're going to heaven when they die. They believe it. And I can't say they don't believe that, and I can't say they don't have that saving faith. But they obviously are narcissists in that they lack empathy, they are passive aggressive, and they gaslight people. They try to control the conversations and always want to be the one talking. Um, they manipulate, um, do these subtle things like subtle digs that tie into the whole gaslighting and being passive aggressive, and yeah, wanting to be the one that's in control, that you seek them, they don't seek you. All these different narcissistic tendencies. It's like they have them all. Like these people are full blown narcissists, but they claim saving faith. So it's like how is that? Is it fake? Is it just one of those things that narcissists do to feed on good-hearted, empathetic people? Because you see, narcissists, what they do is they'll mirror you. They'll try to be like you to build a connection with you so that they can bond with you or get you to bond with them so that they can manipulate you. It has to do with what I've been teaching people about NLP, neuro linguistic programming. And in that, one of the basic things is that you mirror the other person, where you kind of copy their mannerisms and how they stand and how they sit, how they talk, what they talk about. You get into their subjects, you relate to them on, sports, politics, religion, and you just agree with them and you support them and you puff them up and all this stuff because you try to make it seem as though they're talking to themselves. That's the goal with NLP. And once you do that, you can start planting ideas into people's minds because they're very comfortable with you. That's as if they're talking to themselves. So when you start planting little ideas that contradict what they believe about anything, it's like you let the seed in. Where normally you'd be like, nah, that's a dumb idea. But since it's like you feel close and bonded with them because it's almost like yourself, subconsciously you let the seed of the idea into your mind, and then it can take root and grow. And that's what these narcissists do. They try to be like you to get close. And guess what? Narcissists like to prey on empathetic people, on people who are selfless because they're selfish. So they like to be around a bunch of selfless people. And that's how these narcissists are. They're like the tare that's around a bunch of the wheat because the wheat willingly will help out in the nutrient department with the roots to feed the tare because the tare is not self-sufficient. And it goes unnoticed because with all the wheat, they're all selfless. They all have empathy. They all care about one another. So they got this little thing going on. And the narcissist is like, oh man, I can get all these people to care about me because they'll put me before themselves because they're not going to put you before themselves. They're not going to put anybody before themselves. So they come into the sheepfold and take all of that. They like all those selfless people, giving them the attention and the affection. Me, 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 me. And they love it because they're egotistical, selfish, and they lack empathy for anybody else. And they'll take all they can get out of you, but as soon as it starts to become about you or about someone else, whoop, they get out of there and they'll wait until they can come back around when they can make it about themselves again. So let's say they'll be with this one group in the church, sucking up all the attention and the affection. And when it starts to be about something else or somebody else, whoop, let's go over to this group and start milking this. And then they just do their thing. So that's why it's like I don't think narcissists can be saved, but if they can, it is a miracle act of God. And ultimately, Narcissism, when you recognize it, NPD, look it up, learn what it is so you can see these people. They're tares among us. When you see this, this is definitely a reason for cutting fellowship. You know how there's people say that, somebody's like getting into these sins and they're unrepented, that is an excuse to cut fellowship, or if they are false doctrine, that's a reason to cut fellowship. But the thing is with these people, there might not be some blatant, obvious sin, and might not be a blatant, obvious uh, wrong doctrine, because they're very agreeable, because they want to agree with you to get narcissistic supply from you, and they're trying to put out the persona of not having the sin so that they can not be rebuked for that and whatnot, and to fit more in. But they have their obvious signs, and when you get to know them, you'll see them, because they can't stand being equal, so they want high position. So they'll seek to be a pastor if they got the ability to do the talking. If not, they'll try to be real close, the next highest one. As long as they're above somebody in the church, it puts them at ease, because even though they're below somebody, it's going to bother them. But then they can always be like, well, I'm above these people, and that's what makes them feel good. Or above this person, so that makes them feel good, because they're narcissistic. And like I said, lacking empathy, always about themselves, and only doing a little bit to help out others, and it's enough just to keep people off their back so they can get everybody to be helping them. But anyway, I think I made the point clear here. Thanks for watching, and take care.